People were getting denied for home loans. And when they were denied, they weren't told why. And literally, I would call them and say, hey guys, I'm going to guinea pig this. I don't know enough about credit to help you or hurt you. I don't know what I'm doing, but you don't have an answer and I don't have an answer. And I think we need to find one.
How many free clients do you think you started with?
Oh my goodness. It was hundreds. I did it for 2 years for free.
What's one simple thing someone can do today to move closer to getting their first $1,000 a month?
Call every loan officer you know. And if you don't know them, go find them, because you will never feel like you don't have enough leads. They'll be coming in like crazy.
Hey, credit heroes. What if your passion for helping others could turn into a $1 million business? Our guest today started by helping people who were rejected for home loans, and she helped them completely for free. And now she's built a $1 million credit repair business, launched her own software, and earned a spot in the Millionaires Club. I'm so excited to welcome Alicia Ault to the podcast today. She has scaled her business, mastered compliance, and she's got a big announcement that's going to turn heads. So please welcome to the podcast, Alicia Ault. Hey, Alicia.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Great to see you again.
Yes,
Great to
you
see
too.
you.
It's been a while.
Congratulations on the Millionaires Club award.
You see it
I
behind
see it.
me? Yeah.
Yay.
It's not up on the wall yet, so I have some work to do, but it's there.
Looking good. How does it feel?
I am very excited. I've been waiting on this moment for a long time.
Well,
So
making $1 million with credit repair is huge. What does it feel like to know that you've helped so many people that you've earned $1 million while doing it?
I don't think there's a greater thing to be able to say you do when you can go to bed each night and say, I helped someone get their home loan or buy a car or get out of debt. It's a great feeling.
That's awesome. I love that. Looking back, what was the biggest decision or risk that you took that helped you to reach the Millionaires Club?
And the biggest risk was hiring people. Yeah, for a long time, I was in that credit expert mode, and all I did was, grind and grind and grind, and realizing that if you want to scale and you grow, you got to hire people.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're going to get to that in a little bit. But first, people might remember this. You were on our podcast 4 years ago, and you shared so many great tips about building trust with clients. We're very excited that you're back. I know you've been up to a lot in the last 4 years, and I want to know everything. But for anyone who missed your first episode, can you share about what your life was like before credit repair?
So before credit repair, I was a teacher, and then I transitioned in the mortgage industry. And the issue that I found in the mortgage industry was that people were getting denied for home loans. And when they were denied, they weren't told why. And quite frankly, as lenders, we didn't even pick up the phone to tell you why, because we were working on the next deal, right? And so that I found that to be something I couldn't handle. And I was managing the company at the time. And I said, okay, loan officers, if you have a client that is credit challenged, you've denied them for credit, send them, put their file on my desk. I'm going to call them. And literally, I would call them and say, hey guys, I'm going to guinea pig this. I don't know enough about credit to help you or hurt you. I don't know what I'm doing, but you don't have an answer and I don't have an answer. And I think we need to find one. And they were okay with it. I did that for 2 years, Daniel, for free. So any client that came in the office that was denied, and then my door wouldn't, it was stayed open. Like people were coming in from other loan officers and other companies to come and get that help. And one day someone said, hey, Allie, why is your door never closed? People are coming in constantly. And I said, well, I'm doing this credit thing. And they're like, are you charging? I'm like, no. They're like, why not? So, but it was truly a blessing to help people understand. I think, when people don't know why they got denied, and no one can tell them why, like that's a disservice to people. And that's why I got into this world.
And then how did you transition from helping people for free to running it as a business? Walk us through that.
So someone told me, hey, you should charge. And I was like, really? I don't think I'm good enough to charge. And they're like, well, the door won't stay closed. So obviously you're good at something. So I literally, Daniel, I bought business cards. And then I went to every networking event that I possibly could go to, meeting with loan officers and real estate agents and just telling them what I was doing. And they, it was kind of new. I've been doing this for a long time. So a lot of people didn't know about credit repair or what that was. And so it was new and they were excited about it. And I was able to help those lenders and real estate agents make more business at the same time as helping me and helping the consumer.
Awesome. Last time you were here, your credit repair business was already really successful. What would you say has been your biggest evolution since that episode?
Oh, like recently? Like a recent
Hmm.
evolution?
Hmm.
So, doing everything online. So, TSR was like the best thing that could have happened to my business, quite honestly. We went from going into credit repair and it was like face to face. You had to come into my office, meet with me, and you would be there probably 2 hours telling me your whole life story, right? And I remember transitioning to the phone consultations, and those weren't 2 hours, they were like 30 to 45 minutes, still getting the whole life story, still a lot of, time consumption on my calendar. And then, you heard about, and Keenan, you love this, they're at McDonald's ordering McDonald's food and asking about credit. And I'm talking to them, and then they're like, hey, listen, I didn't hear anything you just said, but I just spent 45 minutes with them. Right. And so when a TSR came and said, hey, you can't make phone calls, I thought, oh my goodness, how are we going to do business? And immediately as those words came out of my mouth, I thought, oh, I thought that same thing when I wasn't doing them face to face anymore. Like, how can you do that? How is people going to build trust? It has been absolutely the most amazing thing for my business going to online consultations. I'm spending 3 to 5 minutes doing this consultation. I send them a video review of their credit, and then they're signing up. Not 45 minutes. My calendar's not booked up. Literally 3 to 5 minutes a video. I wake up in the morning and I have sign up after sign up after sign up. But even better than that is not just that it took less time for me to do it, but the consumers are happier. They're emailing me back, oh my goodness, that's such a great video. Thank you. Because I'm telling them, here's your problem, here's your goal, and here's the solution, all in that video. And it's been a life changer for me. It allowed me to scale, and I've helped a lot of companies that were feeling bogged down scale their business and have a life again at the same time.
It's totally compliant with TSR, which is the cool thing, and it's helped your business. But can you walk us through exactly how that works, exactly what you're doing?
Yeah, great. So first, I inform my referral sources because I'm a referral-based business, right? I grew my business that way, loan officers and real estate agents. So when they have a consumer that has a credit issue and they can't get them unqualified, they send an email and they CC the client on that email with them, introducing me. I send back a pre-created email that says, hey, I would love to help you. And I have a little recording of me telling them, hey, I'd love to help you. Can that know, like, and trust, right? And then I tell them, here's the steps on how I can help you. And they have to fill out a questionnaire with what their goal is, give me their login credentials for their credit monitoring. And then once I receive that notification that they did that, then I go on and I pull up their credit report and I do a video review alongside of a report that I run through my software, LevelUp Score, which says, here's the issues and here's the solution. And so I'm able to provide that to the consumer right in that video.
And you're doing that in Loom, right?
In Loom, yes, in Loom.
Which, for everyone watching, it's free. You can use Loom for free.
Yeah, well, I'm curious, like what percent of these clients or percent of these leads become clients that you're sending these videos to?
It's a huge percentage. Yeah. The ones that do not sign up, they'll message me back and they'll tell me it's a money situation, right? Understandable. So I do have a downgrade where I do some do it yourself, credit repair stuff. But even those people who end up in that program within a couple months, they have saved up the money to get started and then they end up getting started. So it's a nice cycle for sure.
Oh. And how do you? Because I imagine for some CROs, they might be like, it's a lot of work putting in to create a custom video for every lead coming in for someone that has a high volume of leads. How do you make sure that you're getting really qualified people from your partners where you're not wasting too much of your time creating all these videos?
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, and maybe this isn't the best answer, but um, I find that the leads are high quality right from the get go because they are coming from loan officers and real estate agents they're trying to qualify for a home loan, so they have a vested interest in getting help when they're denied. So I feel like that's not a problem that I have. The problem that I had was I had so many leads and they were going on my calendar, right? And they weren't answering the phone when I called them at their scheduled time, right? Or they did answer the phone and they're at McDonald's, right? And now I have to have another conversation, another 45-minute conversation, or now I need to get my husband on the line or my wife on the line. So this has streamlined my process where I can handle a lot more of those consultations because they're taking me 3 to 5 minutes.
When they get that video, that Loom video, then is it also guiding them back to your self service sign up page?
Correct. Yeah. Right under my Loom video will be the sign up links to get started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And no more need for a salesperson.
No more need for salesperson. And I don't have to train those people about what credit is and stuff. And that was a big hurdle for me, is training people about the intricate details of credit. And that's one of the reasons that I created the software that I have, is to alleviate that problem, because it was a big problem for me as I started to scale and grow.
Very, very cool. And what kind of feedback have you been getting from your clients about the self-service sign-up process?
Number one, they love it. It's easy. They get to do it on their own time. They get to watch the video on their own time. A lot of the clients, when I was doing the consultations over the phone, were at work. And they really, they'd say, I got to step outside of, from my desk so no one can hear me, that kind of thing. And so they were doing it at times that weren't convenient for them, going and picking their kids up from school, going to McDonald's, whatever that might be. So now they have the opportunity to watch it at any point in time that they want.
Well, here's a question for you. Going from expert to entrepreneur isn't easy. What were the biggest mindset shifts or systems that you put in place to scale your business beyond being just a one-woman show?
Well, do you remember that you put out information about the millionaire journey?
Yes.
The levels? Okay. Well, I
Mhm.
studied those levels, first of all, and I would not move from one level to the next until I had accomplished each of those levels. And when I'm coaching people, actually that's the process we go through, because I know it works, because I did it for myself. But, going through those journey steps, making sure you have systems, and then hiring the right people for the little things, not the big things. Hire the people for the little things that you don't need to be doing. And so I tell people all the time, I would sit down and write my full day out. I would even Zoom myself doing work all day long. And I would look at that and I would write down all the different things I did in a day and make sure I had a system for that. But then I would look and see, what should I not be doing? What's not my best thing for me to be doing? My best thing is doing the video consultations. I'm really good at it. I know my credit stuff, but I don't need to be doing all the back end work, right? And so realizing that I needed to delegate, I needed to get VAs and stuff to do that. That was a big turning point for me. Part of it, I think I was young, and I really thought that, no one's going to do it as good as me. I'm the best, and there's nobody out there. It was an ego thing, right? As I got older, I realized I could shed the ego and life got better. So systems was a big thing. Making sure automations were a big thing for me, right? But I think the biggest thing was when I had a coach tell me, Allie, you're more than a credit expert. You are a successful business owner. And that shifted me realizing that Dave Ramsey has a really great system, but you're not getting coached by Dave Ramsey, right? And so as I start to look at that, I realized, hey, I need to build a business, not build myself up as the credit expert, and do all the work. And that was a big change for me.
What were some of those first things that you delegated? Because I
Yeah.
know we learned a lot when we were building the business over time. A lot of our business mentors said, write everything you do in the day, figure out all the tasks that you can delegate.
Answering phones, replying back to emails, those were big things. Making sure that our referral partners knew that we existed, right? Because you don't want to not be present and in their face all the time. So making sure that they knew that we were out there, and those were some big things that I needed. Recently it's been the social media was a big thing for me, because I would dabble in it and I never really did a whole lot doing videos, getting videos edited. And I think I didn't do a lot because it was an avenue or it was an area that I was unfamiliar with and didn't understand. And I didn't have the patience to learn, nor did I think it was the right decision for me to train myself to learn. Right. And so finding someone that could take over that was really big for me recently. So I have this little motto, I'm getting loud, and so that was a key part to getting loud.
If someone wants to start a credit repair business, but they're on the fence thinking, I don't know if I can really do this, what would you say to them?
I think that there is a great need for people in the credit repair space. And I know there's lots of credit repair organizations out there, but there's still a huge need. I go to colleges and I teach to the college students and the professors, and the number one thing that they always want to learn about is credit. Why? Because there's not enough information out there about credit. And unfortunately, there's a lot of information that's not true or accurate, and then it gets very, very confusing. So I say, if you want to start a credit repair company, make sure jump in, but learn your craft and know it well. and look for services, that software that helps you to not have to do all the things, right? I think that's really important, because if we can, have the software that allows us to run our business successfully, but also bring huge value to the consumer, that's what we need to make sure that we're doing.
And for people watching and listening who are just starting out, what's one simple thing someone can do today to move closer to getting their first paid client or their first $1,000 month? What would you tell that real beginner out there?
Call every loan officer you know. And if you don't know them, go find them, because that is truly where my business started, was from loan officers. They get so many deals. As a lender myself, I would say roughly 90% of the referrals and leads I get into my door are not qualifiable. So where am I going to do with those? If I don't have someone that I like and trust and know that they're going to do a great job and give me that loan back later, that client as a loan back later, then they're sitting on the shelf, and I'm not doing anything with them, right? They're gone. So your loan officers are going to have an immense amount of leads for you, in order to help you build your business. But also, if you can show them that you're going to bring them back as a loan client, I think that's key, because a lot of loan officers, they don't believe that's true. They think that you're just going to go do a bunch of disputes and they're never going to get a loan back. But if you can assure them that you have a plan and a process for that, you will not, you will never feel like you don't have enough leads. They'll be coming in like crazy.
And what would you say to someone that in they're looking to get loan officers in their network, but they don't feel like they have the credibility yet? They don't feel like that loan officer is going to take them seriously.
Yeah, one thing that I like to tell credit repair companies now is that as a lender, we have a system, an action plan that we can buy and purchase for our consumers. So it'll run a credit report through the system, and it'll give an action plan. And we've relied on that for years. And so if you can prove that you have an action plan that specifically lays out how to build credit, all the different things, how to manage student loans, all the things that a lender wants to see, getting a savings account, all those details, not just about doing disputes. If you can show there's an action plan that's going to result in a loan, you will definitely be able to talk the talk to that loan officer. We used to get those for free, which was really cool. So we were addicted to them. We now have to pay for them, and they're very expensive. So in order for us to get a credit report and run them through that system, it's going to cost us over $100. And we can't charge that to the consumer. So they get it for free, but we don't know that they're going to come back and get us a loan with us, right? So we spend a lot of money for an unknown. And so a lot of lenders are stopping doing that. So this is the chance for the credit repair companies to jump in and say, I have an action plan. We're going to do this, and we're going to get you your loans, and you're not going to have to pay over $100 to provide that to your consumer.
Got it. Are there any common mistakes you see that credit repair businesses do when they approach real estate agents or loan officers?
Yes. And that is number one, promising, because you can't promise, right? A lot of what happens in the credit repair space, the consumer needs to do it, right? They got to build the credit. We can't get the credit card for them, that kind of thing. But not being transparent. A lot of credit repair companies want to hold back on what they're doing because they want it's their special sauce, right? Or whatever. And by doing that, the lenders actually feel like there's nothing happening. And quite frankly, if the lender thinks that nothing's happening, what do you think the consumer thinks, right? So being transparent, that's why my lenders always get the action plan as well as the consumer. They always get CC'd on the updates. So it's like, good afternoon, team, And the other reason I do that is, number one, I want to be very transparent on what I'm doing, but they'll help me get the things done too. So it won't be all on my back. And I'm putting that loan officer in front of the face of that consumer all the time. So the loan officer knows that my job and what I feel responsible of doing is making sure they get that loan back.
If someone's struggling to get their first 10 clients, are there any advice you'd give to them?
I would say go to your family first. I know for me, it's still today, I get a lot of family calling me, hey, Allie, I need your help, right? So I think going to your family first and getting confident in what you're doing, obviously with working with your family and friends, I think would be great. And, do a really great, fabulous job for them, even that they're family, because sometimes people are like, oh, they're family. No, do the job that you would do for anybody paying you. And then from that, they will probably have referrals for you as well. And that's how, I started, was family, right? And then those clients that came for credit repair. But when I started charging, I went to family first to get that confidence level.
People are always apprehensive about doing free clients, and I think we should recap one more time. How many free clients do you think you started with?
Oh my goodness. It was hundreds. I did it for 2 years for free. And then, here's the other kicker, that you're probably going to laugh at me. So even when I did start charging, it was $199 and you had me as your credit coach for a year.
Wow.
So, and I did that for a couple of years. So, um, this is a long drawn out process. And, I did it for free because I wanted to get the loans back. I wanted to help people, but I also really wanted to learn about credit and be really confident in it. And that's, Level Up Score wouldn't be here today if I didn't do it that way, because I had to write down every step because I had to learn, right? I didn't know anything about credit.
What I love is you've now turned credit repair into a real coaching experience. How'd you develop that? And what impact has it had on your clients' results and retention?
Yeah, so I developed it like, it's like a template that I created in Word for a long time. And then until I couldn't manage it anymore. And people were like, Allie, everyone wants to use you. There, no one has their information about how to use you and this and that. Why don't you write a book? And I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, write a book? No, I can't write a book because I can tell one person to do one thing and it'd be different than I tell another person, right? It has to be tailored to them specifically. And I'm like, I can't write a book. And then the idea came software. If I create software that can analyze the credit report, then I can create an action plan that's customized to people. And so I began developing that. It did take me, and people get shocked by this sometimes. And Daniel, you probably won't because you've done software, but it did take me 15 years from the idea time to the time that I actually had the software and using it in my business. So it
That
was a
sounds
long haul.
about right.
Yeah, because you think it's going to work and it doesn't work, but you have to build out the algorithm. And I got hundreds of pages of, the algorithm of how this works, if this, then that. And so when you talk about retention, that's been beautiful because people are getting to their goal, right? And when they get to their goal, they tell everybody about you. And then the lenders tell everybody about me, right? And so then their friends that are lenders are learning about me. And it just, kind of spirals from there. Because if you can get someone to their goal, that's the key. And, and that's what the action plans did for me. And then, I have people who have been getting my action plans for 5 years now that stayed on my credit monitoring and just get the action plan. I'm not doing any work for them at all. They just get the action plan because they're addicted to them. They want to make sure everything is going great all the time. And every 3 months, I will send them a video and say, hey, I just wanted to check in with you. Everything looks great. Or if I see an issue, then I announce that in the video. And if that happens, I retain that client again as a client. So I never lose the people who come into my office.
That's awesome. So, for someone who's never seen it, what exactly does Level Up Score do? Can you walk us through it?
Yeah, sure. So Level Up Score will analyze the Credit Hero Score credit report. You pick the goal. So we have 3 different goals at this time. We're developing another one, which is business funding. But right now it's buy a house, buy a car, great credit. And when we analyze that credit report, it spits out an action plan tailored to that consumer. So it's looking for, do they have a depth of credit file? If not, if they have a thin file, here are the resources. It's embedded with affiliate links in there. So the credit repair organizations actually make an additional income because as the consumer does the things, they're clicking on that affiliate link for that credit repair company, which was really important for me because we can give a person an action plan all day long. And if we don't give them the resources to do the thing, then they end up doing the wrong thing. Right. And so we wanted to make sure that this plan not only gave the solution and the action steps to take, but also how do we do that? And that's what Level Up Score does.
A lot of people out there are helping people repair their credit just through the dispute process. But how much of a difference does it make to give someone this plan versus just doing credit repair disputes?
Yeah, they're going to get much better results, right? Because we can dispute, like today, I can dispute off your credit report, and let's say I got everything off your credit report that was negative. That does not mean you're getting a home loan. you know? And I like to mirror it like where Dave Ramsey was telling everybody, pay off all your debts, right? Don't have credit cards, don't have this. And what happened when people started doing that is then people couldn't get loans because we didn't have a depth of credit file, right? Their credit scores crashed and they didn't have an influx of money like Dave Ramsey to go buy a house with cash, right? And so I think of that the same way as the credit repair organizations. If we're just doing disputes, we can wipe everything clean and that's going to look beautiful, but we haven't done what we need to do to get them to their goal. And that's where the action plan comes in.
And a lot of people out there are like, it's another software to learn. Like, how easy has is it for someone to use Level Up? How easy has have you made it for business owners to adopt?
Yeah, it's so easy. So we integrate with most companies and most credit monitoring. So that makes it really easy. But literally all they have to do is tell us what their goal is, what their consumer's goal is, and it's going to create the action plan. It is white labeled to that organization, so it doesn't say level up score anywhere on it. It's their action plan, and they can customize it and do some things to make it really original. Um, but yeah, it's really that. It's like click and you're done, right? When I think about that question, I think about how many years I tried to train people to be credit coaches. And it was a daunting, daunting process. And now I can have credit coaches that I've never trained because they are literally reading the credit action plan.
Where do people go on the internet to try LevelUp Score?
Awesome. So you can go to levelupscore.com and you can sign up for a free demo account. So you can go in there, you sign up for a free demo account. It will have you come to a live demo with me where I'll show you how to put your white label together. I'll open it up. You get to put a client in, run it through, and make sure it's right for you. Some of the things that would be on an action plan, like managing student loans, making sure that they're on the lowest payment plan that they can possibly be on, right? Especially if they're trying to buy a home, because that's going to affect the debt to income ratio. If they have opportunities to get into a forgiveness program, making sure that they're in that. But then just a quick, easy one on the student loans. If I got a student loan out for $5,000 and I was in school for 3 years and it's deferred and now my balance is $6,000, the credit bureaus are going to say, "Oh, wait a minute, you have some kind of financial hardship here because you owe more than you received. So we're going to drop your score." So, a big part of my business was college students coming in because I taught at colleges about credit coming in, and they would have 500 credit scores. They didn't have anything negative on their credit report. There wasn't anything for me to dispute. It was all their student loans. So things like that, how do you manage your student loans? And right now that's a big deal because everyone is coming up with 90-day lates on their student loans right now. And I get really mad at the people who are with me, working with me, because I tell them that we're going to make payments even if we're deferred. And that's a whole long story too, keeping activity on that student loan. But, people are getting 90 days late because they're not doing those things that they should have been doing. But that's an example. If they have a thin file, like we need to get a credit card, we need to have some credit to show that we can establish, that we can have good credit, right? You can't have good credit without credit. Getting a loan, like the self loan and things like that. Having a savings account. I know that doesn't affect the score, but it's a very big part of buying a home or having that financial security to keep good credit once you have it, right? So all those things would be laid out in the plan that I think are important above and beyond the disputes, but the disputes are an important part of the process.
If there's just like one or two big things that most heroes could do out there to get their consumers to do an action alongside the dispute process, is there one thing you would recommend?
I obviously would recommend them do level up score or have an action plan, right? So the consumer knows what they need to do, because usually they will do the things if they know what to do. Again, storyteller, but if I want to lose weight and I go to you and you say, "Hey, Allie, if you eat this and do this and do this, you'll lose weight." If I trust you and I'm sure that you're got the right solution for me, I'm going to go do all those things because my goal is to lose weight, right? And I think that's the same with the action plan. If we can say, "Hey, we're going to do this stuff on this end for you. These are the things I need you to do. Are you serious about buying a home?" I'm getting ready to do a video on social media about that. Like, are you serious? Because if you're serious, you'll do the things.
When these consumers are doing all these other actions too, it can be a moneymaker for the credit repair business too, to refer clients to these other services that are ultimately going to help the consumer. Like, do you have any case studies on the type of incremental revenue that a credit repair business can make on offering these other services in their business?
When I do my live demos, I show that in real time. Like, here's a client, and here's the different affiliate links that would be in this particular person's thing. And generally, when I see that, you would make around 100 to 150 or more dollars by them doing the things on the action plan. The action plans are really cheap, but they're not designed for you to have another expense. They're designed for you to grow your business and create more revenue for you. And that's what it does. And certainly, yeah, there's a lot of links, and then they can add even more. There's a resource section at the bottom of the action plan where they can have more resources to provide to their consumers. Like I always tell people, so the action plans are like $3. Okay. So you get an action plan for your client, you're paying $3 for it. If you just have them go on Experian Boost using your link, which I can provide to the credit repair companies, if the client goes to that, it's free for the client. There's no fee for the client, but the credit repair company makes $3.50. So you paid for your action plan right there. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different ways that you can make money off of this. But I think I like to say that's like a side note, right? That's good. It's all great. But because of the action plans, I'm keeping my clients longer. I'm creating real value. I'm showing them the changes that are happening real time every 30 days. And I don't have to do all that work, right? So all that good stuff, I can grow and scale.
For your software LevelUp Score, there's actually a new update that you're coming out with soon too. Um, bringing in Credit Hero Score. So if someone is looking to create these action plans with Credit Hero Score, what does that process look like?
Wonderful. I'm glad you brought that up. We forgot about that. So, so you can go to levelupscore.com, right? And you can sign up for your free demo account. When you go into your platform, you would select Credit Hero Score as your credit monitoring provider. So when you put your clients in there, it'll create that action plan reading your Credit Hero Score reports.
Easy peasy. That sounds great. Let's talk about marketing. Last time you were here, you talked about growing without ads, just through the networking and referrals. Is that still true today for
That
your
is
credit
still
repair
true.
business?
Yes, that is still very true today. I still don't do ads. I think the only thing that's changed since 4 years ago is I do some social media now. But other than that, it very much is that referral based relationships.
And have you noticed a difference from doing the stuff on social media?
You know what? I've seen a difference with credit repair organizations, but not necessarily with consumers. I think I think for me anyway, maybe I'm just not big enough. I don't know what that is, but for the consumers, it really is that relationship building, right? Because there's a lot of consumers that are going out on social media and they're trying to learn how to fix their credit, but not all of them have a serious goal in mind. But those relationships I make with the loan officers and the real estate agents and the financial advisors, they have a specific immediate goal. And that's where I really want to put my time and effort in.
How important are client referrals and testimonials for your business?
Oh, I love that question. So I love to get Google reviews because I get most of my business right now from Google. Even so, at first it was like all referral based, and now it's a lot of Google because of all the Google reviews that I've gotten, and which is nice because now I get to refer out to my referrals, right? But getting reviews is very important. If you're not doing that, you need to be asking. If someone says something nice to you about what you're doing in your business, you need to immediately follow up and say, "Hey, can you help me out and let people know that I'm the real deal? I'm the company that you should trust," because we know there's untrustable companies out there, and I want to make sure that as many people as possible can learn about me. And they love it when you put it in those terms. They're like, "Yeah, I want to help you. I want everyone to know about you." So yes, testimonies from consumers are great. What I wish I would do more often that I haven't done, and I have done it with my LevelUp Score organization, videos. People love videos and getting video testimonials. So if I was going to give advice to a credit repair company on marketing, is get a video from your consumer on the work that you've done if you can. They're so powerful.
I'm curious, for getting all these Google reviews, do you actually have a built-in process for collecting the reviews and testimonials?
I do. It's part of my systems, right? So, in my campaign, when a consumer becomes a client of mine, there will be within about 45 days of starting the program, they'll get an email that asks them a one question survey. Basically, do you like the service or you don't? And if they say yes, they're going to get another email that asks them to do a Google review. I also put it at the bottom of all my emails. And that tends to draw attention because sometimes if a consumer sends me an email and says, "Hey, Allie, I really liked your video. Thank you so much for doing that." I'm like, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" Right on the bottom of my signature is my box for Google review. Do you mind giving me a review about that? right? So having that Google link, if that's where you're wanting your reviews to go to, or your Facebook, or whatever you want your reviews, having that link handy and available and always, in an email and everywhere is, I think, really important.
Where are you asking consumers for these reviews typically in conversation? You mentioned like if someone mentioned something nice about you, you would ask them back for the review, but are there any other conversations where you're putting it into the chat that you're having with the consumer?
Yeah, so a lot of it's the emails because I do now that TSR, even with my, I talked about my online consultation process, but I do that with my monthly reviews and everything now. Everything's a video because they like it so much. So I don't have a lot of conversations with consumers on the phone at all, even when they're a client. That's very rare, actually. So most of that's through email, which is great because then I can copy and paste if they give me permission with what they say in those. But then I ask them to send that in a Google review. So most of it is exactly that, just the emails that they send me.
We should talk about credit repair.
All right.
Of all the credit repair strategies you've learned over the years, what's one that's been a real game changer?
If we're talking about the dispute process, I would
Mhm.
say that the big game changer for me was not necessarily disputing to the credit bureaus, but disputing straight to the creditors. I get better results that way. I do what I call tag team the process. So we have disputes that go to the credit bureaus, but we also send them to the creditors. So, in my opinion, if you want to turn people around really fast, and in my organization, we're not looking for the long game. I keep clients on forever because of the way that I practice my business, but it's the short game. We want to get you out the door, go buy your house, and we're going to stay and keep working to make it even better, right? That's the whole game. But my process is very fast paced. I want to tag team the process, and I've learned that if I go straight to the creditors, I get amazing results really fast.
And that's starting at the first round that you're working to contact the creditors.
Yes, but I don't do disputes, and I think that that's something that is not talked about enough. So we do the disputes to the credit bureaus, but to the creditors, we're actually asking for validation. And the reason
Mm.
that we do that is, especially if a consumer has debts that are a large balance, we can trigger the process of them going through litigation or judgment, right? So we don't want to trigger that. And disputes will trigger that, where if we do a validation, it doesn't trigger that. If we think about a collection company or a creditor and they have a large balance that you owe them, they want their money. They really do want their money. So just by you disputing constantly isn't going to keep them from wanting their money, right? And so if we continuously do that, and here's a story I'll tell you. So back in the day, I would get letters that my clients would give me where they worked with another credit repair company. I won't say the name; they're not in business anymore. But they would get letters from creditors that said, "Hey, we know you're working with this credit repair company. It won't work, so you might as well save your money." Like literally, I have that, and I have to find it because I'm going to frame it. It's going to be right behind my desk here because it's so true. If we're constantly just disputing, then we're going to trigger a judgment because they want their money. Now it might work on the little small dollar bills because they don't want to deal with your hassling them over $100, right? But when we're talking about larger amounts, we have to be very careful what strategy we use.
And do you ever do disputes today with the creditors?
Yeah, I certainly do. If you can't validate the debt, we're now going to fight. you know, Now we're going to pull the guns out, and we have, if you can't validate it, you can't provide me with the documentation, then you can't report it either. And that's when I'm seeking for basically what I call archive the debt, like show me that you're never going to try to collect this anymore.
What types of things are you still sending to the credit bureaus?
So, you know what? We still challenge in the credit bureau level, but we're looking for errors in the reporting itself. Instead of saying, this debt's not mine, right? What's the error in the reporting that we can indicate from the credit report? And so, based on that error, we will dispute in that fashion to the credit bureaus. And that could be anything and everything, but it's not saying that unless the debt's not the consumers, right? So if it's not, then we're going to back it up with an FTC complaint, all that, the police report, all that information that we need. But if we know it's theirs, there's no reason, in my point of view, of disputing, saying it's not. We need to either get a validation or say, hey, you got errors in the reporting. You either fix the errors in the reporting because it has to be accurate, right? Or remove it from the credit report. So that's how I handle those.
And how do you deal with stall letters?
So I have my clients mail out their dispute letters for themselves. And then if I am going to mail it for them, if they have an issue with having a printer or, being able to go to the mailbox or anything, I will send it, but I send it with an authorization that I'm representing them. And that will alleviate the stall letters.
Interesting. If they mail the letters themselves, they're not getting them?
That's right. So we're making them, they have to, I have a couple key things that I tell them. Number one, make sure you mail it from your city and state because the post office is going to make a stamp on it. And that computer system is going to look at that envelope to verify that that stamp is the same city and state that you say you live on your documentation. Have them sign it with a pen. I have them highlight stuff, make a lot of marks so the computer gets all crazy, right? But also having ID and validating their identity is important. And of course, if you are mailing your dispute letters out for your consumer, making sure you have an authorization form because your templates, they know. Your paper, they know. Your ink, they know. They know all of that. This computer is very, very smart and it knows exactly where it came from.
So the stop stall letters, you're having the consumers send their own letters, but you're also mentioning sometimes that you're going to send the letters out for them. I noticed even in our system, you're using Cloud Mail to send out some letters. What do you typically see? Are there a lot of stall letters for letters that get sent out through Cloud Mail, or what do you do if there is a stall letter?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you, I don't know how much data you have, but I use Cloud Mail always, always, always. But those are my letters going out to the creditors. Okay. And the reason I use Cloud Mail is, again, I'm a automation everything. Automate, automate, automate. Like if you're in business and you really want to scale, you should not be doing anything, right? If someone else has a solution for you to do it, take the solution. And I remember before Cloud Mail came and somebody from Credit Repair Cloud interviewed me and said, would you pay this if we had this? And I said, yes, I would. And I do. And I did. Yeah, I use it for all of my creditor letters do go out from CloudMail.
What's a common misconception people have about credit repair that you wish you could correct?
I think a common misperception about credit repair is that it's just about disputes. I wish it was that easy because disputes are pretty easy, right? But it's not. There's a lot more that goes into it. We're not, consumers aren't there. They might say, hey, Allie, I want an 800 credit score. But that's if I ask them, why do you want an 800 credit score? What's the big deal about an 800? That's not, then I get to the underlining reason that they think they need 800. And then we can have a honest conversation. Do we really need 800? And how hard is it to get 800, right? And kind of setting the tone for what reality is. And also that the whole goal is not the credit score, but it's getting them to their true goal. And like I said before, if credit repair companies can really hone in on what is your client's goal and making sure you have a solution for them to get to that goal, then it's priceless.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody who wants to start a credit repair business?
One piece of advice,
Yeah.
get the Millionaire's Journey roadmap that Daniel Rosen has posted. If you can't find it, maybe you can put that link there. But I really think it's important to understand the different levels of getting into business and understanding what needs to be done in those different levels. That has been a game changer for me. I truly studied that and made sure I didn't move from one to the next until I had all the things done in each of the levels.
Very, very good advice. Okay, we're going to switch gears now as we start to wind up. And you did this before, but I want to see if your answers are different now.
Okay.
So we're going to ask you a few rapid questions. Just answer with the first thing that pops into your head, just like last time, okay?
Okay, I'll do my best.
What's your business superpower?
My business superpower is videos. Definitely videos.
What does business ownership mean to you?
Business ownership means to me being a leader, learning how to be a leader in an organization.
What drives and motivates you?
I love helping people, and I really want to revolutionize the credit repair space where it's truly a value add to consumers, and they're getting to their goals.
What's your definition of success?
Happiness, having a life, quality.
And if you could go back in time and tell yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Let go of your ego and ask fearlessly. I got two. Sorry. There's definitely two. Let go of your ego and ask fearlessly.
Awesome. And do you have any other advice for someone just starting out with a credit repair business?
Do it. You're needed. You're very needed.
And what's next for you? What's the next big goal?
My big goal is really to launch LevelUp Score to have every credit repair company using this software so they can add that value for their consumers, allow them to scale their business, but really truly help their consumers get to their goal.
And how can people find all your products and reach out to you?
A great way to find me is going to levelupscore.com. I also have a public Facebook page for LevelUp Score. It's a great way to learn more about what I'm doing and who I'm talking to, and to kind of spotlight a lot of people. It's a lot of fun. And you can always email me at alicia@levelupscore.com.
Well, this was awesome. Thanks so much for your time today, Allie.
Thank you.
This
It
was
was
a lot of
great.
Yeah.
fun. And for everyone out there, if you're finding value in the things that we share on this podcast, click below to subscribe and let's get to 100,000 subscribers. Also, give us a 5-star review or share the show and help us to change more lives. If you have a question or a comment, drop it down below because I read each and every one of them. I would love to hear from you and I'll respond as soon as I can. In her first interview, Alicia proved that trust and referrals can grow a business. So listen to that episode and take notes. Also, if you'd like to launch your very own credit repair business and discover how to earn extra income repairing credit for others, check out my brand new Start Repairing Credit Challenge. So sign up right now at startrepairingcredit.com and keep changing lives.